Well, isn't it funny how language gets we establish a meaning for a word and what it can be? Like the one that I was defending the other day was, I think I said something was retarded. And if you look at the textbook definition of what retarded means, by definition is exactly what it meant. Like I was using it properly, but it didn't make it any less offensive.
Yeah, but isn't there like a politically correct word for retarded anyway? Like mentally challenged or handicapped? It
was a weird thing because I was looking at that and I was thinking...
Or wait, wasn't there another word that was even like a positive spin on handy? It was like handy-capable.
Yeah, that was what it was.
That's just as bad in the other direction because that at least doesn't describe what we're talking about.
It's pandering in a way.
America's weird with that shit.
I know, man. It is. It's an epidemic for sure.
You know what the best worst American word is to me? Deplane.
What is it?
Deplane. Like when they say, like Americans can't understand disembark. You don't plane. You don't deplane. Like deplane is not a word.
Okay.
Let's Google it.
Deplane?
Deplane, I'm going to Google it, but you don't have to. And of course, look, it says deplane is not a word. Deplane definition. Disembark from an aircraft, but it's actually not a word. It's like North American.
North American
verb. North American.
Just so people can understand it.
Because Americans can't use the word disembark. It's
too
big.
We live in disembark. Yeah, that would be.
It's too sesquipedalian.
Whoa.
Oh, hey there. Hey there, bougie.
Your bougie ass words are throwing everybody off.
Yep.
No, language is a funny thing, and I work with this guy Mark England who does this course called Vocabulary, where he helps you to understand how your language impacts your identity and how you bring yourself to the world and how you're seen. It's incredibly powerful. There's a lot there.
So yeah, language is cool. Like it's pretty interesting. But as much as I like using certain words, because like words are so powerful, I'd rather not use them if I knew that somebody's going to be really hurt by me saying that.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to use retard anymore.
I'm okay with it. Yeah.
It's fine. It wasn't that big a deal, but you know a word I'd really be upset if I have to stop using? Cunt.
The word cunt is a strong one.
It's just like a bomb.
Yeah, it's good.
It's just like you don't use it that often, and then when you use it, it's so powerful.
Yeah. I think fuck used to be that way, but now fuck's just kind of like a...
It's generic. It's dope.
It's a good
great.
word. It's a strong word.
But it's not, like cunt is the worst word. That isn't racist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's power in that.
Have you ever called somebody a cunt to their face?
For sure. I can't like recall that.
Yeah.
I actually can recall.
It's like, yes, you can. You absolutely can.
One instance. Like as I was saying that, I knew I was lying. And I was like, yeah, I did once. But in Australia, especially, England also, but especially Australia, it's not.
No, it's funny how that works. Yeah.
So this is my favorite time of the year. You'll be on a conference call with someone from Australia, and I'm hoping that it comes up. And sure enough, you'll be sitting in a conference room, and there'll be someone from Australia on the speakerphone, and they'll drop cunt like it's no big deal. And then everybody's mortified. Every woman in the room is just like, and then within 2 hours always, this only happened a couple times, but it's just incredible. Within 2 hours always, there's a apology email that comes in about the language that they used and the cultural differences.
Yeah. But I think everybody can chill a little more too when it comes to this stuff. We get super fucking fired up about everything. Mm-hmm. Everything. The number of triggers that exist in the world is a little bit absurd.
Well, also we go like, and this is like, it's weird that the conversation that we're having right now is really controversial.
Yeah, it will be.
Like you can't, like if you call someone like a Jew, which I am, like people will be offended by that.
Yeah, I offended a guy by using that one time.
A Jew?
Yeah, I said Jewing as a verb.
Well, that's very different.
Yeah.
That's very, very different. Because that implies that you're fucking them like a Jew would fuck someone. It was being
stingy about something.
Or being stingy, yes.
Yeah.
That's different. But just the word Jew is like controversial, or the word black. Like the word African American to me is weird. Like I kind of think you're racist a little bit if you use the word African American.
Yeah, they're not African. There's so
Some
far,
are.
yeah, some are, but maybe
Yeah.
an African American is somebody from Africa
Yes.
who's now like it's like a Mexican American.
It doesn't
It's
apply
like,
generically. It's
if
just
you
like
were born here, you're a fucking
scared,
American.
You're scared to use the word black.
Yeah.
So you're going to use African American to be like politically correct. But
Yeah.
in doing that, you're actually not being accurate.
Yeah. And I think it's funny and Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot, and it's why he holds true to a lot of these things where he reaches a point where he doesn't want to keep giving. He's a Canadian professor. And when it came down to gender pronouns, he's like, I'm not fucking doing this anymore. This is absurd.
Right.
Like, why?
Right. Well, there's a whole new category.
Yeah.
They, them.
They, them,
whatever it
Zer.
is. Yeah. I mean, I'll call someone whatever they want to be called if that's what they want to be called.
Yeah, you can call me. I don't. It doesn't bother me as long as I have a heads up as to what you want to be called. Like I'll do my best to not be a dick.
I mean, I wish someone would call me Muhammad Ali.
Is that what you want to be called?
I mean, it would be dope.
I'm gonna change your phone name of my phone to Muhammad Ali.
You know, Mama called him Clay.
So how often do you see that? So you work with people that are in the public eye a lot. Mm-hmm. Like how often do you see people change the way that they present themselves and express themselves as they gain traction?
Actually, not that much, to be honest. Sometimes people probably like have to be a little bit more careful, but usually they get burned by some kind of thing that they say or they do or they comment on, where, to be honest, there's no real value for them in saying that and just being themselves, but the negative repercussions of doing that, you know, outweigh whatever value would be in speaking their opinion, even though you should be allowed to speak your opinion, provided it's not, you know, filled with hate, and provided it's educated. We give people too many, like, leeways with opinion, actually. Like, you actually don't get an opinion.
Yeah.
We also know it's my opinion. I'm allowed. It's like you don't get an opinion unless you know what you're talking about. At least a little bit. Everybody does not get an opinion.
Like be relatively informed.
Be somewhat informed, yes. Before you're like, this is what I think. It's like you don't think that. You don't know anything. You've got blinders on because you want to believe that because of some other thing.
Yeah.
But it's relatively rare that people will kind of, you know, all of a sudden have a platform and then change how they speak without actually going through some kind of process where how they speak negatively impacts them in some way. And they're very rare is the person that can kind of live in that spotlight. Like if you need that spotlight, if you need to be appreciated by a mainstream community, you know, you maybe you shouldn't speak like that.
Yeah.
You know, like if you need that, like maybe like that value in appealing to a broad range of people is worth more to you than speaking your mind. And I understand that.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. I have a friend of mine who does a lot of YouTube influencer work, and she's like, yeah, she can't say fuck. Like she couldn't have this conversation on this podcast because people like Tide and other people pay her to do her thing. That she just understands that. And we're like, but you have to commit to something, don't you? Like if you're going to be out there and do the thing, like you have to commit to what you're doing and make sure it's authentic for who you are.
If you're appealing to moms, if that's your thing, then yeah, maybe you can't say fuck.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I personally, like, as long as you're not being racist, as long as there's no hate, as long as, like, you know, you're not being an asshole, you know, I think you should be able to say whatever you want, but also often there's no value in saying it publicly. It's why Twitter and Instagram get people in trouble all the time.
Yeah.
With no, like, really upside on the other end. Like, it's like they're only getting in trouble. Their brand is already what it is. Yeah. You know, and now they have this platform. Now they have these people that look up to them, and now they're under a microscope. Yeah. And so they can either be this kind of thing that they were that got them there, or they can, you know, decide to be outspoken and political. That's why so many people don't want to take a political stand. Yeah. So many people don't want to talk about it one way or the other because no matter what, if you're taking a position, you're alienating a certain chunk of your base. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. And there's certain things maybe that, you know, you believe in so much, whether it's, you know, gun control or immigration or like any of these hot button issues that you're compelled to speak, but they know when they're doing this that they are like alienating not like a small chunk, like a huge chunk, like 40% of their consumer often. Look what happened to the Dixie Chicks.
Oh no, dude. And that's country music. That was crazy.
Country music.
Yeah, you can't do that in country music. You gotta be.
You can't.
Yeah, well, you can.
You can.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I think like history kind of has like proved them right a little bit.
Yeah, they were absolutely right.
Like,
and
there's not a lot.
They could have done that now. You could do that now. Like, that's funny. I actually know of a country singer who's bisexual, and I'm like, you can't be a bisexual guy, country singer. Like, that's not a thing right now. In 10 years, maybe.
Right.
But it's like you can't. It is funny when you think about that. Like, you can't do that. You have to choose your battles there. Mm-hmm. It's weird. But if the Dixie Chicks were doing what they did then, right now, it would be absolutely fine.
I wonder if the Dixie Chicks came out like hard against like, gun control.
Yeah.
I think it would be a problem.
You really think so?
I do.
Oh man, I don't know.
I do.
I don't know. We should get Florida Georgia Line to see go out hard for gun control.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, well, then you do have the president of the United States kind of being a dickhead and setting the standard for that being okay.
Yeah, but those people don't think he's a dickhead.
I know
those people think he's like, draining the swamp and getting rid of politics as usual and like making America great again.
Yeah. How many people really think that he's making America great again currely?
It's just such a good slogan.
It is a strong slogan.
It is just so good.
Well, Obama had a good one too. He rode the change piece for 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Make America Great Again is referencing the golden era.
Yeah.
Which there was no such thing ever.
It didn't exist in the present.
It's never existed in anything ever.
No.
There's never been a golden era ever. It's only golden, with hindsight.
Yeah.
But people get nostalgic for yesterday.
Well, people do that all the time. You think about how people look at Elvis and his legacy. Right? Or Kurt Cobain. Like these things are beautiful and amazing and crazy. Like you can worship what they are, but it's like they end in tragedy and like loss. Like there's never in the present. It's not like that.
Yeah, but Elvis was a fucking gangster.
He was a fucking gangster.
He was saying strangers Cadillacs all the time.
Yeah, he was fucking awesome. Like, there was awesome things about it, but I mean, it gets embellished later down the road. Versus like there was a lot going on there, but there's never really a golden age doesn't exist in the present. Only in reflection.
Yeah, I'd like to believe in the golden age of Elvis. His life was just so
it's incredible.
Epic, like him shooting TVs when he didn't like what was on, and
he shot TVs.
He used to shoot TVs on the reg.
What the fuck?
Yes,
that's incredible.
Yeah, and his fake martial arts. Do you see Joe Rogan posted?
I saw that. That was fantastic.
I'd never seen any of that.
Me either.
It was incredible. Those like suits, and also like just him dancing in those days.
It was so provocative.
It was so provocative.
Yeah.
He was just dancing.
Just like moving around.
Yeah, wasn't that long ago, 60 years ago.
There's certain people like that have such a cultural impact. It's really incredible.
Oh, it's amazing. Kurt Cobain also, like, amazing.
Yeah, and John Lennon too.
So good.
But there's so much there, but it all comes from the same kind of place.
Well, John Lennon was very unique because John Lennon, did you ever see the movie All Across the Universe?
Across the Universe?
Across the Universe?
Yeah.
So it's so incredible because it only applies to the Beatles. Because they were such outliers that they grew up in an era where they went from like, I Want to Hold Your Hand to Sgt. Pepper's in like 8 years.
Yeah. It was a pop boy band that was good into like a cultural icon in 10 years with a bunch
they
of
evolved with America.
Yeah, it was perfect timing. Like they just jumped on that conveyor belt and went through the most traumatic years in American history.
Did you ever see the doc? I think Ron Howard did it. You have to be careful on these podcasts because like I'm saying shit now. I'm not 100% sure it was Ron Howard.
It's okay.
But then you say stuff and it's recorded. People start Googling it. Is anyone listening to this?
Pleasure Monkey Nation, it's fine. I'm wrong about things all the fucking time.
When other people are on podcasts and I'm like, no, dude, a kilo is not 2.6 pounds. It's 2.2 pounds.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
It bothers me.
It
bothers me when people are wrong when I'm listening to them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's Ron Howard.
Yeah, okay.
Just Google it. But anyway, so, and I'm a
We need Jamie in here.
Yeah, I'm a huge Beatles fan. Same. And Ron Howard Beatles. Let's do that. Okay, it was 8 days a week. So they didn't play. So they got to America, and this I don't even know if just bear with me. In like 1964, they were huge in the UK. They were huge in the US, but they hadn't been to America. So they got there in like 64, and then I don't think they played live again until like they played their last live show on the PA system at Shea Stadium.
Wow.
And Beatlemania was so crazy they couldn't move anywhere. So like a lot of their best albums, they never played live. They played one other show after that ever live on the roof of their label.
Really?
Yeah, in like 1970 when they broke up.
Wow.
69 or 70, yeah.
Damn.
Isn't that amazing? Like all of those awesome Beatles albums were never played live.
That's wild. If there's one band you go back and see, it's got to be the Beatles
for sure.
There's no way around it.
I used to go, like, he died on December 8th, 1980, John Lennon, and I would go in New York to Strawberry Fields and like play music and sing Beatles songs, and then at whatever time he died, it was sometime like whatever, the Yoko has a candle in the Dakota where she lives, which is across the street from there.
Yeah.
And she snuffs it out. So you see like a candle in a high window, and then it's gone at the minute. Like then she'll blow it out at that time, and we're all below, like watching and singing Imagine and doing awesome shit.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's
really
wild.
Cool.
Yeah, New York's an interesting place too.
It's like the only place.
It's wild.
It's wild.
I don't love it, but I respect the fuck out of it.
You have to live there to love it.
I think so.
Believe me, I'm spending more time in California now than New York.
Yeah.
And California is better for me, for where I'm at in my life, and they're 180 lifestyles.
No, that's why I think I had a really interesting shift last time I was in New York for an extended period of time, because I was here like walking Abbot Kinney, cruising around, going to the beach, whatever, and then the next week I was in New York, and I'd never really been that way, and just tried to do the same thing, and that shit does not fly there. It's like unless
you know cruising around.
Yeah, like, unless you know where you're going, like you can be here and not know where you're going.
I do. Like, actually, that's what I like about New York, because I just kind of like I'll wake up on a Saturday morning and I'll just wander.
Yeah,
and I'll end up doing something awesome, but it's a struggle in New York, and I never realized it was a struggle. It was just life. Like life just kind of rolls there until I came to California, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
this is what people say about like quality of life.
Yeah, it feels way different out here, dude.
And it's like 180, because now when I'm in New York, I still live the same life that I used to live in New York. I dress differently. I wear a suit in New York, and here I'm dressed like this. And it works for here. The suit didn't feel comfortable here.
Yeah, you tried the suit here for a while.
I tried it. I tried it for like a month.
Yeah.
I was like, it just feels weird.
It feels weird.
In LA.
Well, I was sitting at the coffee shop watching people walk in, and it's really, there's like a few archetypes, and it's like messy short hair, middle length beard, like flip flops if they're even wearing shoes. And this guy, anybody gets out of a Porsche Cayenne.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's funny, man.
He's wearing like a poncho.
Yeah. It's the strangest thing. And then I have the most interesting conversations with homeless people at Whole Foods.
Homeless people shop at Whole Foods?
They're just outside fucking around, just being kooky. Sometimes they do.
Yeah, you want to know why? Because if you get the buffet and you eat it before you get to the cash, it's free.
Yeah.
So
there's some heavy duty cops.
It's a homeless hack.
I do that too.
I'll get like a few little pieces of finger food I can eat while I'm waiting in line. They're like just weighing a thing of bones.
Just the cardboard box. It's 27 cents. No, but yeah, it's a different. Like there's something to be said about the energy of a place that you live in or spend time in. It changes everything. It changes the way you act, the decisions you make.
I never felt connected, and I don't feel connected to the west side of LA like this either, but I never felt like a city was part of who I was. Like even growing up in Montreal, I never felt like
really
connected to it. I only felt that. I've never felt that anywhere I've ever traveled, only New York.
Really?
Uh-huh.
New York's that place for you?
New York is like, I think it's that place for a lot of people. I think it's that place.
People associate with it in a way that's unlike anywhere else.
You could see a New Yorker, and because I travel so much now, like what happens is you speed up in New York. Just New Yorkers walk faster. Like
it's
not like a little fast, like a lot faster.
It's substantial, yeah.
And so then I come back here and everything's more laid back and chill, but I'm still on like New York walk, so I'm like trying to like get around people. It takes like 2 days to kind of relax here. But in New York, because I'm out till 2 o'clock in the morning every day, I wake up at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Whereas here I wake up at like 4:30.
Yeah.
And I'm sleeping. Like last night you came in, I was sleeping at 9:30.
Yeah. We were both in bed before 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a time change too. I love it. So I try to stay on the same.
It's so dope. That's the best.
Austin's kind of like that too for a lot of people. Just it's on a smaller scale. But people identify like a motherfucker with Austin. Austin's got its own thing.
Third Coast.
Yeah. It's wild. It's a cool place. It's a really cool place. We're really blessed in this time and that we can live and be anywhere, any time. But that hasn't been that long that we've been able to do that as a species. Like if I want to go to New York tomorrow, I can go to New York tomorrow.
It's true. You get on a plane, you could be there in a few hours.
Yeah, and everything's different. The weather's different. The people are different.
Yep.
The food's different.
Yep.
Why not?
But people in New York are. I was about to say that like people aren't really different anywhere except Japan.
That's a lot different.
Where like Japanese people are just so cool. They seem like decades ahead of us.
Yeah.
And have you ever been to Japan?
No.
So they wear masks for the opposite reason that every other Asian culture. So they don't get you sick.
Yeah, they don't get you sick. Yeah.
And there's no garbage cans in Tokyo. There's no garbage anywhere. Everyone takes it. There's the dopest bikes lined up at the subway stop. Nobody steals them. No locks. There's almost no crime.
It's funny how adaptable like we are as a species.
And then like you go to these like they have like these companionship bars there. Have you heard about these?
No.
Okay. People go after work to these bars that are like lit up like Canadian television and like really like bright like lighting. And they just talk to women in like dresses. They're not really flirting. They're just talking to them. They're dressed up. And they have a couple drinks. There's no chance that you're going to hook up with these girls whatsoever. And you pay like to go there, I think like by the hour. And you just talk to them and you go home to your wife.
That sounds like a really smart idea. Like I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, and also brands that work in Japan don't work anywhere else. I mean, brands that work everywhere else in the world don't work in Japan. Like McDonald's has never really caught on in Japan. Catches on everywhere.
Yeah.
You have to market to Japanese people differently. But they also are like the biggest curators of like hype beast culture.
Hype beast?
Oh, like they love like brands.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Like Supreme and that stuff?
Crush Supreme.
Damn.
But yeah, that type of stuff. But everything, they're just very like, they love brands, which I love brands also. Not because they're brands, I just like brand as a thing. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear a logo. It would take a lot for me to wear a logo of a brand.
Yeah.
But I like to look at like what they're doing. I like to look at like what Gucci's doing right now and killing it. Like Gucci's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's almost so cool that you can't buy it. Like it's so cool. There's a line outside of Gucci stores now.
Yeah.
People can't buy enough Gucci.
People love Gucci.
They love Gucci.
You think that's why you do what you do? Just like the fascination with brands and why people do what they do?
I think maybe that came. I think I always liked that, and I think there was a lot of things that I could have done that involved that, and then I just kind of stumbled into this. Like, no, I don't think people grow up and they're like, I want to be a publicist. But it works for me, and I'm good at it, and I like how I spend my time, which I think is the secret.
It seems relatively important.
How you spend your time.
It seems like the only thing. You think about how many people don't like how they spend their time?
Oh God,
it's fucking
Kills
incredible. It's hard to watch.
You get emails that are like "Happy Hump Day," and I'm like, dude.
Yeah, somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Yeah,
it really is. There's people that life is like that for a lot of people though.
No, but when I used to work for a company, I know that stress of Sunday. Like Sunday at around 3:00.
Yeah,
you start getting stressed because you do not like your job and you do not want to go to work.
My buddies over at Total Frat Move call that the Sunday scaries.
Right.
It's like you're kind of hungover and you're kind of down. You didn't really sleep much over the weekend because that's the only time you get to be yourself. And then it's like, fuck, I gotta go do this shit again next week.
Right. I honestly can't remember the last time that even crossed my mind.
No.
I like how I spend 90% of my time.
What's the 10% that you don't like?
Obligations. Things that you're not really into that you have to do.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty good at saying no to shit that I don't want to do. Where like I'm not worried about annoying someone or offending someone. I think you can say things to people directly as long as you. my therapist used to say, as long as you say it without anger or fear, you can say anything to anyone.
Yeah.
And it's true. And I repeat that all the time because it's true. People, like, if you're just like, no, I'm not helping you move, dude. I'm not. Like, go get a company. You have lots of money. Go get a company to help you with this. Why do I have to help you move? I'm not picking you up at the airport.
Does that feel good?
What's that?
To say that? And say it in a way that's not being a dick, but it's like...
No, it doesn't. It's just like, why? It's like, for so long, you were just like, yeah, sure. I'll say yes to life. Say yes. It's like, no, you don't have to. But there's certain things like going to your girlfriend's grandmother, going to visit your girlfriend's grandmother. It's important to your girlfriend, and so it should be important to you, but it really isn't. You still kind of have to do. And
that's a thing.
You can't hold it over someone's head.
The return on investment of your time there is valuable. Like in the long run, like that's something you would do. It's valuable to someone that you care about. So then, and if you're choosing to share an experience with them, it's like valuable to be a good sport.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just too selfish to think of it that way. Like I see that as an obligation, but I'm like, I'm not going to be a dick about this. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, you just fucking do the thing. Like there's a handful of things in life like that.
But I'm also used to living by myself and not having kids and doing, all my time is my time. Yeah. Which for a lot of people, for parents, like, I don't know how they do it. You have to change.
No, yeah.
That real quick.
Yeah.
If I want to go for a 2-hour walk with the dog, people can't do that. I could do that.
Well, dude, actually, I've had a friend of mine. She was giving me shit. She's like, when I talk about dating, it's like, this girl has 2 dogs. Like, I just can't deal with that. That's too much for me. And she was like, you have the weirdest fucking deal breakers. I'm like, I just know what goes into having 2 dogs, and I don't want to bring that into my life. Like, that's a lot of shit.
Yeah. And by the way, if someone was not into my dog, I'm not into them.
Oh, same with me.
People know when you're not into their dog. Yeah. Like, it's obvious. Even if you can't fake that for very long.
Yeah, no, you can't. And it's like, I genuinely know that I'm just not going to be down with someone with 2 dogs. It's a lot to fucking deal with.
Right. I'd be like, 2 dogs.
And I'd be like, fuck. Yeah, but I can't. 1 is good. I'd rather prefer 1 to 0. Right. But 2 is like, it's too much. But
that's you we're talking about right now?
Yeah.
2 dogs?
Yeah.
1 is better and 2 is too much?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
It's weird. It's a weird thing. Because I'm like, 2 dogs is like, it's a lot. Because then I have a dog too. So it's like, then we end up, it's like, well, then we have 3 dogs.
Do you have a dog?
Yeah.
Who's watching it right now?
My mom.
That's good.
Yeah, he lives with mom. So,
where does your mom live?
It's like 4 hours north of Austin.
How did the dog get there?
I took the dog. He's been there for a while. So
you don't have the dog in Austin?
Not right now, no. He was there for 6 years, and now he's been there for like a year now.
But she likes having the dog.
That's what happened. So I was moving, and I took him up there for a few months. It's like, hey, they had a puppy. So they have my dog's daughter is my mom's dog. So both of our family dogs died last year. Right. So they bred him, and then they have her puppy or his puppy. Oh. So they have his daughter. So I was like, hey, keep him for a while. They'll train him together, and it'll be because he's really well trained. Then my mom was taking care of my grandmother, and my grandmother passed away, and my mom was hella sad, and I couldn't. My dog just like loves on her constantly, and I just couldn't like bear to take him away until she got better.
So it's not like you're a bad parent that dumped your dog on your mom. It's that you're actually doing.
I went to pick him up, and the look on her face, I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I could. It was like, you know what? He can hang out here for a while, and that it makes it easier for me to travel. But I miss. He's like my best friend, you know. But no, I love dogs. Are funny because they become you. Like they're so much like your dog's so much like you.
It's true. We even walk the same.
Yeah, me and Dutch are the same. Like we're the same person. He doesn't seem like I did mushrooms for the first time with my dog, and he became like my trip homie.
Did he do the mushrooms also?
Mm-mm. I mean, I feel like he's always on mushrooms. He's like a little Buddha.
Jack, when he was a puppy, got into some mushrooms.
Yeah? How'd that go?
I was like, if he starts, having a bad time, I'm going to take him to the vet. Tell them what happened. But he was like, Psychedelic Jack.
Psychedelic Jack.
He was good. Like, he was fine.
How many mushrooms was it? Was it a chocolate bar or something?
It was chocolate, which is also not good for dogs. But
I think I'd be more worried about the chocolate.
Yeah, it was 2 human doses, and he was like
it's like 5
very
grams
small dog. No, that's like not a normal human dose. I would say 2.5 grams. I'd say like a gram is like a normal human dose.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
But it was like two recreational, 2 recreational doses.
Got it. It's like half of a trip dose. So we actually met. Let's go into this. We met in the jungle. Mm-hmm. We met in the airport and then the jungle.
Yep.
That was a hell of a time. That's actually where the pleasure monkey was born.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Pleasure monkeys. That was from Ob's experience, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then when we went to name the podcast, it's called the Pleasure Monkey Podcast.
Right.
And then I got to define what Pleasure Monkey is, which was fun.
What is a pleasure monkey as opposed to like a hedonist?
Yeah, so that's funny. And then it's just the same way that I do with this when we talk about branding. Like I love the idea that pleasure is very palatable. Like it's like, oh, like it's intriguing. Mm-hmm. But really what pleasure is to me and what I explain pleasure as is developing enough self-awareness to understand what you actually give a fuck about and investing into that, right? And that may be work, that may be recreational activities, that may be relationships and how you want to do relationships, how you want to bring yourself to the world. But in my experience, there's nothing more pleasurable than bringing the full version of yourself to the world. But that takes self-exploration.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because, work has like a very negative connotation because it seems like work is not recreation, work is not pleasure. And it's true it's not recreation, but it can be like very pleasurable. Like almost same thing with life. Almost none of my work is doing stuff. Maybe 15% is doing stuff that I don't really want to do that just needs to get done. But that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's a different approach to that because it's not servicing the body constantly. Like it's really like if you want to get into spiritual talk, it's kind of servicing your soul,
right?
Because you can sit around like doing blow and fucking strippers, and that's pleasure in a way, I guess. But that's not really if you can run yourself into like that at the end of that road isn't a full version of you.
No, also the probably the pain associated with that outweighs the pleasure.
Yeah, you're running away from yourself.
It does.
Yeah. Like you're avoiding.
Well, also, but just like the health, like negatives of that.
Yeah.
Like you can't do cocaine all night and then wake up the next day at 4:30 in the morning and go to CrossFit or jiu-jitsu or whatever you want to do. Like you cannot do that. Well, your whole day is gone the next day, and possibly 2 days. Probably feeling a little depressed for a couple days. Like I don't know. I don't handle that stuff well.
I don't either. Blow is not. Yeah.
Ugh.
I can do a little bit in there here and there, but it's like getting into it. It's like fucking ruin a whole week. Same way with Molly. Like if you want me to do Molly with you, there better be a night ahead that's worth the next 3 days of my life.
Well, but you know what? There is like I think maybe you just do like a lot of it.
I did too much. I do like, and I have a high sense. I'm really sensitive to it.
Right.
So for me, I've got to be really mindful.
Because I feel like you can do that if you like source it properly and you recover properly and you don't drink like an animal. You drink water throughout the night.
Yeah, I've gotten way better at it.
That can be something that has like very few consequences, but it's so easy to feel that good. It's like, fuck it, I'm going in.
I want more. Yeah.
There is no tomorrow. I'm doing this. We're going to die tonight. Live our best life.
Only thing that exists is right now. I'm
going to turn to pure energy at 6 a.m. But till then, I'm on.
Yeah. I think this is sleep that I lose that really gets me more than anything else. If I'm up till 6 or 7 in the morning, it's like, I didn't do that in my 20s. That's what's funny.
Yeah, no, because we're old now.
Yeah,
you don't think about that. Also,
yeah. I mean, I was coaching CrossFit like a motherfucker. I was up at 5 in the morning for 7 years straight. So I didn't start partying until like my 30s.
I almost never party.
Yeah,
because I'm so conscious of tomorrow.
Yeah, same.
And it's like, no, but what about this? And I'll start stressing about it.
Will you start stressing about it when you're out?
Before I party.
Same the same way, dude. I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here. Like I'll start getting anxious as fuck.
Like there has to be a real, and like at the right time, where you make that decision where you're like, this is the right move to make this decision. It's going to be super fun. This is a night that I'm going to, want to do this. And I'm okay with tomorrow not being so good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Jamie Wheel talks about that. It's the hedonic calendar. It's like knowing to place enough time between your shit.
And then maybe like tomorrow I'll be like, okay, and you're going to get a massage, at like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
And you're going to go for, dim sum. And like try and just...
Yeah, it's like you're going to eat fun, watch Netflix for the next 2 or 3 hours. Because if you try and do anything that's outside of that, you're going to fucking get frustrated with yourself for not being 100%. But I think there's also a part about partying that's like, you think about the Burning Man culture and these festival cultures where it's like there's something to be said for these big ecstatic experiences every now and then, a couple times a year, you know?
Yeah, so Burning Man is unique for me because I actually don't like crowds of people at all.
Really?
Unless I like sporting events because it's very contained, but I don't like concerts even. Although I haven't been to a country music concert, but I bet you all like it.
Yeah, you'd like that.
I feel like it's like way more spread out.
Yeah.
It's often outdoors.
Yeah.
But other than that, like going to like a nightclub or something for me is not something that's interesting.
I feel that.
And going to a music festival and feeling like stuck is also not something interesting. Burning Man could have been all of those things. There's really nothing more uncomfortable than Burning Man. You've got pretty shitty accommodations.
Yeah.
Even if you're like a boss, it's
I mean, you're in like a glam camp though.
yeah, but it's still kind of shitty.
Yeah,
it's super hot during the day.
Yeah.
Like you'll wake up, like you'll go to sleep maybe at like, I don't know, say 9 o'clock. And then like at 11, you wake up in your tent and you're like sweating uncontrollably on this like shitty air mattress. But by the way, it's way better than everyone else's.
Yeah.
You don't really have hot showers, even in my glam camp.
Yeah.
Like I didn't stay in like an RV. I stayed in a tent in that camp.
Yeah.
Which was like pretty good. But even if you were in the RVs, you're in like the most uninhabitable place. Like it's like Mars.
Yeah.
But even with all of that, it's like the most interesting thing I've ever done.
What were your big takeaways? Like, walk me through it. Like, what was? Because I didn't get to go this year. What, like, walking in, what did it feel like? Give me the rundown. Because everybody wants to go to Burning Man now.
I mean, I think that what I thought it was nothing like what it actually was. And you know what's weird is like when you see video of it or photos of it, it's also nothing. Like there's an energy that you need to experience there, but there's no hierarchy. Everybody is the same. There's really no judgment. Everybody's friendly to each other. Even like in like the bougie camps,
Yeah.
you can go to all those camps. Like there's no like, sorry, you can't get in. Sorry, there's a line. Sorry, we're at capacity.
It's not South by Southwest. It's fucking.
Sorry, you don't have tickets. Like there's none of that. Like everybody can go everywhere. There's no judgment for anything. And there's really good art. And it's just like, you know, we did do a lot of drugs. But if I didn't do a lot of drugs, I didn't drink because I had pneumonia. Mm-hmm. But if I, which I think helps because I woke up like really refreshed. I think alcohol is like,
yeah,
you know,
I don't think I drink much
shitty
there,
thing.
Yeah.
But it's hard to explain in real kind of like, I know that explanation doesn't even scratch the surface.
Yeah.
You have to like experience. It's like you're not alive. It's like you're in purgatory. It's like you're not on this planet.
Yeah.
And everything that you've come to know and expect from being on this planet is not what you get there, but it's all more positive. It's all positivity.
Yeah.
And even like with people, I don't have a lot of like, you know, I don't think that, I was about to say I don't have a lot of like trauma that I'm dealing with. And I don't know that that's true, but I don't think that like, I don't go there to like let go of things.
I see.
You know, I don't think the symbolic, which I think is dope that people do.
They have the temple, right? Is that where that's the
They
place
have the
where people
temple,
go
and it's like it's really amazing. Mm-hmm. It'll be like crazy shit where you only get like part of a story. It'd be like a wedding dress, like taped to like nailed to like the wall, and so it'd be like, I know in my heart that you lied, but I'll love you forever. You're like, whoa, what the fuck is the story?
So
here?
you're there and you're on LSD or Molly or something, and it's like you're tapped into source, as they say, and you're feeling all the feels in that place. Like seeing something like that, that's fucking incredible.
You also don't feel like, I never felt that like fucked up there. I don't really feel drugs, I don't think, the same way.
The stimulus is a lot different too.
Yeah, you're stimulated by everything around you, and the people that you meet, and the art that you see, and the energy, and people just like offering you things constantly. Like people just being like exceptionally nice.
Yeah.
You see it like toward the end start to like break down a little bit because everyone's on their best behavior and everybody knows like that's what you do there. But we're also people. Like at the end when we were watching the the burning of the man, like there was these dudes standing up, and they got there like way earlier than everyone, and so they're like, everyone's like, sit down, and which never, like, that was the first like aggression.
Yeah.
So we were all sitting there.
Somebody asking somebody to sit down is like
We were right behind them,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, sit down, and then other people are like, it's Burning Man, you could do whatever you want, fuck them. And then so people started like throwing water at them, and eventually they sat down. But that was like, we got here 3 hours ago, and they were right and wrong, but it didn't matter. But they were the only ones standing. There was thousands of people behind them that, you know, because if they were sitting down, they couldn't see either.
Yeah.
But that was like, you see it kind of like start to chip away because we're human.
Yeah.
But the overall experience, and I also think that the overall experience was amazing, but I also think that it's kind of like DMT. You get like 90% of the value from it from doing it once.
Yeah.
Like you carry that with you forever. If you never do it again, you now have like a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the same way about that. Like, yes, I'm going to go back, hopefully this year. But I think that if I didn't, like, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have context on it.
Yeah.
That's what I talk about a lot with any like ecstatic experiences. Then you have context, or even ayahuasca, right? Which you haven't really had an ayahuasca experience. Like, we drank ayahuasca, but you didn't have any psychedelic effects.
It was. I mean, I had some, but it was very light for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but you it changes, and I guess DMT is a great example of this as well.
But I got value from it, by the way. It's like Don Howard says, like all the medicine isn't, you know, necessarily in the bowl.
Yeah.
I got a lot of value from it. I got a lot of value from that week there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't like a DMT experience.
Yeah. Well, you essentially break your reality into pieces. It's like there's something like your experience is so much different than anything you've ever experienced again. That's why the first one you said like 90%, because like holy shit, like there's a lot more that I can experience outside of what I've done day to day my entire life. Like the capacity of your mind to do something and feel something and see something different, it's wild, in my opinion, in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think all that stuff is good. I think you also have to not rely on it and not
huge.
like, you know, like it's like the reason Burning Man is cool is because you can take what you get from there and like apply it to the actual world that we live in. Mm-hmm. Instead of trying to make that the world that you live in.
I think a lot of people miss that. And they're letting those people that like we say like go to outer space and never come back. Like they blast off, and you're like, dude, you're not living in like, hey, bring it back.
But also, if that is their truth, if that's how, and that's kind of what Burning Man is. If like that's your truth, then like, and you're happy and you're not hurting anybody, and you like the way you spend your time that way. Nobody else gets an opinion.
Yeah.
That's just for me. I don't need to, I get the benefit of psychedelics sometimes, you know, recreationally, sometimes like something more deep. And then I don't really need to do them very often.
Yeah.
To have that kind of perspective. And then sometimes like after a few months, I'm like, I'm kind of getting annoyed in traffic.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting short with people. And that's when I'll know like, okay, maybe it's time to go back in and kind of give myself that perspective, because that's the other, you know, thing about humans is that you get this like insight, you get this inspiration, and people will say that because you forget it, then it's not real, and I don't think that's true.
No, not at all.
I just think that that's part of the human condition, that you have to go back, and go back and go back and go back, and hopefully you don't have to go back every day or every month.
Yeah.
Because you can use DMT, you can use anything recreationally. Like you can abuse it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've abused it. And what I mean by abused it, I've never been like, I want to do DMT every day, because that's
a lot.
Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of, it's like, whoa, that was a lot. I need a minute. But I've definitely done it when like I haven't respected it and actually gone really, really deep.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm just like, I've been up, you know, drinking, and then we go back to my house and someone's like, let's smoke DMT. And it seems like a great idea. And you feel a little bit guilty.
Yeah.
Because it's given you so much and you want to respect it, but then you do it anyway, and it still gives you a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, DMT is a different one like that. So I'm always fascinated by how different everyone's experiences are on DMT. Like, do you talk to anyone or any voices? Do you have voices and like really are you able to like almost verbally communicate? Not actually literally speaking, but in your mind.
If I'm like getting to like a certain like depth, then almost always.
Yeah, almost always. The same with me.
Always.
I have people with an accent, whatever fucking reason, a lot of times. Like some British chick, they'll be talking to me.
But I'm not like talking, like they're reading my mind and like
I'm not speaking with a mouth, but it's like because you don't really have a body, so a mouth isn't a thing. It's like your inner dialogue is exchanging with someone else's.
Yeah. And sometimes they're super warm. They're like if you start like panicking, because when you start like going into it, it can be really like you're just like tumbling and you're like half remembering who you were and half in this like new place that you've kind of been to before also, but like you don't know even like what your name is, and you're
scary as fuck.
You're tumbling, and then they're like, sometimes they're like changing to see like, how about this? How about this? How about this? You're cool. You're good. You're good. You're good. And then sometimes they're like, because I'll be like, if I panic, like there's a fire in the real world and I'm burning, or like there's something in my throat and I'm choking to death.
Oh, really? You have those?
And I'm like, there's like in the panic, and then they're like, actually, it doesn't matter. Like you're here now. You're here now. That might be true.
Yeah.
But you're here now, and it actually doesn't matter. Like this is what it is.
Yeah.
But they tend to be calming.
Sometimes, or most of the time, I think. For me, anyways.
I had a thing a few months ago where I was like close to a fire, and I was wearing pants, but I was close to a fire, and I could feel like heat on my leg when I was like going out, but I'm like, oh, there's people, and I'm not like close. I'm like probably like 2 or 3 feet away from the fire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's like tons of people around. Like they'll let me know if I'm in any kind of real danger, and I just kind of go out. And I do, even with that tumbling, I tend to like give into it pretty easily.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, let's just do this.
Yeah.
And I could feel like a little bit of heat on my leg, but I was like, I'm sure it's fine. There's people here. And then I came back, and when I took off my pants, it was like my legs were when I took off my pants, and I had like crazy blisters all over my leg, and I'd been burning, and I didn't really notice it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty scary.
That's really fucking scary.
Yeah. You have to be careful.
Yeah. It's something to be careful with. I mean, dude, when I drop in now, I had one experience where the tumbling is the best way to say it. It was like I was just getting this like churning experience, and the noises you hear, it was like it just kept saying that you're a thing doing a thing. Like that was the voice kept saying over and over and over again. I felt like I lived 100 lives. It's like you're a thing doing a thing doing a thing doing a thing, and that was the noise. It almost like a Jack in the Box like sound. And coming out of that, like feeling how small I was in that experience, really, it was a lot. Like it was a lot, and I had to come out of that and like really get my shit back together.
Right.
And every now and then I have that little fear that's going to happen again. And I've actually almost gone down that same path and kind of, you kind of divert, and you're like, nope, I got that. I don't want to do that again. Kind of sidestep it, but it's no joke. People think it's funny, and it's like that's why I think people have these bad experience or quote unquote bad experiences.
Do people have bad experiences?
Yeah. Well, they go into it not really knowing what the fuck they're getting themselves into.
But do they have a bad experience upon reflection of the bad experience?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a bad experience. I think it's a challenging experience, but it's just unexpected challenging experience, right? So it's scary. But at the end of the day, when you go look at it, you're like, wow, that's actually really beneficial. There's a lot of good that came from that.
Yeah, well, it's not really a drug experience. I mean, to me, it's like the only real spiritual experience that I've ever had from a drug.
Yeah.
From a medicine, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
From plant.
You can call them drugs.
Is from that.
Yeah.
Because I've never been connected to God in any way except for that. Like if you would have said to me before I started going down, that path, not even that, it's not the fucking path. Like before I experienced that.
Yeah.
I probably would have said that I'm like an atheist. And what I would have meant by that was that, I like what religions say. They all basically say the same stuff.
Yeah, for the most part.
But, you know, I think the stories are cool, but they're stories, and I don't believe in like a specific religion. I don't believe in like
Yeah.
a specific God, and that's all true. But I think, you know, after doing that, I think that like I like very much connected to God, and I feel like I've been alive for, you know, forever. I feel like that was one of the first things that taught me. It was like death is not what you think it is. It's you're in some way, and convinces of it instantly. Like you can't die.
Well, it shows you that what death is in a way.
And you've been here forever, and energy doesn't just stop, and this body is not going to be here, but you will be here, and you have been here. And if you really believe that on a really deep level, there's actually nothing to be scared of.
It takes the pressure off of life for sure.
Yeah, like you're not now like your life becomes bigger than, you know, trying to make your parents proud or really worrying, you know, too much about Donald Trump or it's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
And if it's not, that's okay too, because you're going to be here.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, it gives you that gratitude, that real gratitude, that's the thing that I think keeps you doing the things that you want to do in life.
Yeah.
You know, that people use that word a lot.
Gratitude.
Yeah. But it really is like the word. Like it's always my intention.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to be grateful for what I have. And I don't know, like if I got into an accident, I became paraplegic, if I would, you know, if I'm that evolved, if I have that type of, you know, if I will have gratitude in that situation. I'd like to think I would, but I don't know. But right now I do.
Yeah.
And I still am scared of things.
Yeah.
You know, there are still things that I'm scared of, even though if you understand that on a super deep level, you really will have no fear of anything other than like immediate fears. The things that you're supposed to be scared of, which is like drowning, burning, starving, an animal chasing you, like those like immediate like fears that are real kind of animal fears. They're there for a reason. Most of our fears aren't those.
Yeah.
You know, most of our fears are just like weird insecurities that aren't actually based on anything. So I think there's work to do there, but super happy, man.
I love that, man. That's great. And so one thing that we did do in Peru that I've talked about on this podcast, but I really haven't had very many other people on the show or anyone else on the show aside from, I guess, Aubrey and Liv, but was the Vilca experience in Peru. So as we close this thing out, like what was your Vilca experience like? Which is 3 psychoactive chemicals. So
By the way, we can't end on a psychedelic thing. We have to have like another whole thread after this. I always feel like, and I don't do a lot of podcasts, but I always feel like it goes to psychedelics.
Yeah, okay.
And
so we will not be ending on a psychedelic thing, but
we can still talk
about
the Vilca. We just have to talk like another 10 minutes after about like, you know,
I don't fuck with time constraints. Most people just want to do it for an hour. But anyways, we can keep rolling.
So I kind of knew a little bit what I was getting into with the Vilca just because of the DMT.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was DMT that we were, you know, snorting through a 1,000-year-old monk's finger bone.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it was 5-MeO DMT.
Yeah. And it's 5-MeO and bufotenine.
Right.
Yeah. So
I don't know what that is.
2 different kinds of DMT and then bufotenine. I don't know what bufotenine really is either.
So, and I knew that like everyone else that hadn't done it was like going to be like mind blown, mind fucked, like that. If you've never done it, and you have no idea like what you're about to like get into. It kind of like that will change your life.
Yeah, and since everyone that was on that trip also had done ayahuasca, but most people had a very mild ayahuasca experience.
Right.
If you've had a deep ayahuasca experience, it's very similar to Vilca. But if you haven't had that, then it's even less context going into something that intense.
Right. So I did it with Sybil, my roommate there.
Yeah.
And we snort it, and then you walk across the bridge. And I started feeling it like strong, like whilst we
On
were
the
standing
bridge?
there, and even before.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, fuck, it's coming. But I wasn't scared because I had been there so many times before. So I was like, well, if I don't make it across the bridge, I'm just gonna like lie down here when I can't walk anymore and just have my experience here.
Yeah.
And
I had the same thought when I was walking across the
but
bridge.
it wasn't scared. Just like, well,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
And that is one of the beauties of that is like you are not in control. You're just not.
Not even kind of.
And so we made it to the room, and to be honest, it was just a very long, very kind of, deep DMT experience. But I mean, I don't know that it was special because of where we were and what it was and the ceremony and all of that. But I'm not super good at like recounting, my experiences. I get the value from them, but I mean, I think that's one of Aubrey's gifts is that he can like, and so this started off like this, and then it went like this, and then I can't do that. Like I just remember the feelings.
What were the feelings?
Well, I feel like it was kind of like. I can't explain them. I just like, no, I can't. It just is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, it's a bad story. But,
No, dude, it makes sense. I mean, I was in my third ayahuasca night. I was in this thing, and I remember, and I've explained the story since then. I made it into words, but I remember trying to think about how I would explain it. I was just laughing that I had to try to make that into language. Like I had to try to language this experience. It was impossible. There wasn't a way to do it. Whatever I did when I find a way to explain it, it will be so watered down.
right.
But I have to try, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yes, I don't even know that you have to.
Well, I have to. That was the podcast,
right, right. But yeah, I mean, I sometimes feel like trying to explain it, you end up trying to tell a good story.
Yeah.
Instead of like actually, because I can't recount the specifics very well. Like every now and then I'll have something like, a few weeks ago I went in and really deep and I forgot who I was the whole time. Then I opened my eyes and the room that I was in just had a completely different energy. And it was like towards the end of it, but it was like perfectly designed, like exactly like how it could have been. It was perfect with like things from this world. And just the energy in there was completely different, and it didn't feel like the same space, but it was. But that was like toward the end where you kind of have like a little bit more decision power.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry, not don't ask me to explain psychedelics.
All right, man. So you do have a really pretty interesting life because you do understand what you give a fuck about. So, I mean, if I'm projecting that on you, let me know. But it seems like you said 90% of the time you're doing something you like doing.
Well, I kind of find it very easy.
Yeah, that's what I want to jump into. Is like, what are the kind of the tipping points towards a life like that?
Well,
in your experience,
I could literally write a book about it, but it would be 2 sentences long.
Okay.
Do what you like to do and what you're good at, and spend time around people that you love or like to be around that inspire you. Is that 2 sentences?
I don't know.
Could be 1 with a semicolon. But it's true. Like that is, I was not, for me, luckily, I guess, I was not born with, I don't have like depression. I get depressed when shit doesn't go right. But like, I don't really even understand depression on like a real level. Like just like feeling shitty because there's a chemical imbalance and like your life is going pretty good. And I really sympathize with it because I know it's a very, very real thing that that a lot of people suffer from. But I don't. And so I just try and do the things that I like to do that I'm good at and surround myself with, people that I love and be super conscious about how I spend my time. My ultimate failure is like eating a shitty sandwich at the airport. It's just like, fuck, you fucked up. You like, this could be your last meal, and it's gonna be a $14 sandwich that provides no value on like those like thick, cold ciabatta buns with like a shitty tomato in there. Feel like grainy, bally, cold tomato. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess I could expand that into like a page.
Yeah. You can expand that into a fucking novel.
Probably not. It just is what it is for me. And
it doesn't have to be complex to be effective.
No,
usually the inverse relationship's there.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But
the thing about this show too is like it's a no bullshit approach to actually living the fuck out of your life.
So who is listening to the show right now?
We're gonna talk about who's listening to the show while they're listening to the show. Yeah. We're talking about you, audience.
Wait, so this is not live?
This is not live.
So you are gonna
this will be released in a week or two.
Right.
Yeah. I had to go back here and put an intro on it and talk about all the things we talked about.
You're gonna put an intro. You're gonna give me a little bio.
Yeah, a little one.
Read.
I don't do reads.
Like, what will you say?
It's funny. So I'll talk about how we met. I'll talk about what you do a little more detail because we didn't really. I don't like to bring people onto the show. I actually enjoy talking about this. I don't like bringing people onto the show to talk about what they do. I'm not interested in what you do.
Yeah.
Like in that, if we go down that rabbit hole, that's why we just start the show with a conversation. Because if we go down that rabbit hole, you go into interview mode and you start talking to me for an hour about what you do. When I really don't give a fuck, because I know and probably know, you know what I mean. That's not really what it is. I want to know about you as a person and how you got to where you do what you do and why you do what you do, not the what. Right. And like what quirks do you have? What makes you weird? When did you embrace that? Shit like that. So it seems like, and the audience can also chime in here after this is released and let me know, but a lot of the people that are listening to the show have gotten to a place where they have enough comfort in their lives, they can look around and realize there's probably more to it than what they were told. It seems like that to me from the feedback that I've gotten in the reviews. It's I can talk about age demographics, but it's like there's a little bit of disillusionment in life, and it's like, fuck, man, there's more to it than this, and I've kind of been sold a story that I don't really agree with anymore.
Right. And so you will put this podcast where?
iTunes.
Yeah. And then people can leave comments?
They leave reviews. Yeah.
Of the specific episode?
None of the specific episode, no. That'll usually go into the Facebook community.
I'm just trying to get to, like, can we get feedback of how people enjoyed this episode for my own ego?
Yeah, no, we can do that in the Facebook community. I'll add you into that.
So then in the Facebook community, people will be like, hey, Jon Bier.
Yeah, I fucking loved that episode.
Said dope 10,000 times in the episode.
Did you say dope that much?
Dope is one of those words.
It's you slippery as fuck.
But then it's also it's like an addictive word because then like the people that you say dope to start saying dope.
Yeah.
And then everything is dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, and hella's one of those words too. They're fun to say for me personally.
Yeah, I don't use hella.
I feel like we've had this conversation before, but yeah, you don't use it. It's a NorCal word.
NorCal.
So I picked it up in SF when I was up there visiting for a while. And once you start saying it, it's a part of who you can't not because it's so fun to say.
When you live in like a certain place, do you start picking up the mannerisms of that place quickly?
I do, yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Well, the thing about you and I both is we both connect with people really well and love doing it, and that's part of that is adapting a little bit to their language, so you're speaking their language.
Right.
Like I'll do that with people, like in the lifestyle design program I run. Like I try and talk to people how they talk to me, so I reflect it back at them, and I try to speak their style of language back to them. So if I'm talking to a 23-year-old guy who's just graduated college and he's like his first year of life doing his thing, I'm gonna talk to him like a frat bro kind of a little bit because it resonates with him. Versus when I talk to my 40-year-old finance guys that are about to move to Costa Rica or move to do their thing and like they're buying properties in foreign countries.
That really is like the finance guy dream.
That's what he's in Colombia right now.
They all do that.
He's my homie.
Let me make some money doing this shitty job, and let me go to Costa Rica and just surf it out.
No, but that's what you think, but they can't fucking do it.
Why?
They can't because they
can't let go.
They can't let go. They don't know how. That's the biggest thing with him was he was trying to then design his paradise life the same way that he went about finance, and always do the next thing and have this next thing. It's like you've got to learn how to go. So right now he won't even listen to this show probably for 3 or 4 weeks because he's completely off the grid with a fucking surfer on a beach somewhere. And he had to completely unplug. And then he's doing ayahuasca right after that. So it's completely unplugged for 2 weeks, then ayahuasca for a week, and like more secluded than where we were.
My ex just went to Costa for a 10-day silent retreat.
Yeah.
They do ayahuasca at the end of the retreat.
Was it with Amber?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, I would love to do that.
I think you get more out of the silent retreat than
the whole time.
Yeah, that's probably one of them. Yeah. They do some really cool shit, man. And that's the thing is like the retreat, a 10-day silent meditation retreat, you'll probably get more out of that than ayahuasca. Like you get through your shit in the first 3 days and you're like in it with yourself.
So the only time they could talk was they were like, and I think it was every day they could talk. I'm not 100% sure, but but like they would tell their story to someone who just watches with a blank stare and makes no like active listening or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're just like blank face, and they kind of spill their heart out to the stranger, and they listen to the stranger spill their heart out. But I think so. I guess it's not completely silent, but I think that's maybe once a day. But no conversation.
But you're not having a conversation.
Not having a conversation.
So like, Buddhist monks do that. So young kids in the I don't know what they call it, Buddhist training, but these kids will sit there and they'll do the same thing. So like 8-year-old will sit there with expressionless while someone tells them stories and they'll lie to them and just like be ridiculous. And this person's playing it up and you're supposed to not react. Can you imagine doing that from the age of 9?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I would love to do that. And then it's so funny because when you're there, and I felt this way when we were in Peru, you're like, fuck, I'm going to take a week off work and this is kind of stressful and this and that, and there's shit going on. And then once you're there, you're like, nope, I don't need to be anywhere else.
That's funny. I had that when we did Wachuma, I had that feeling. But that's the thing about it. Is like we always talk about the psychedelic pieces of it. I mean, like you said, every podcast I end up going down the psychedelic rabbit hole. But it's like really, it's not about that as much as I would like to go back to Peru with maybe 1 or 2 people that I knew and be in a group of people I didn't know. Because knowing everyone, you keep playing the character that you play, and then you're out there, so it becomes more obvious that you're playing this character or trying to play this character because you're supposed to.
But I think that. I mean, like you have one of the all-time great first impressions. So all those people that you're going to be meeting for the first time, you're going to be in double character.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that at the time, though. You showed me that, but yeah,
double character.
Yeah, what's
like,
funny?
This is my representative, and it's fucking good.
Well, then you're out there, you're so deep in it, and then you get guys like. We had some people there that was their first experience, something like that, and you know who I'm talking about. That just talked about themselves the entire time. And like couldn't let go. And I'm sitting here watching somebody, and I think you and I did a good job of letting go. We had a moment. We were sitting we were sitting on in the hammocks.
Right.
That? It was the first time I got to know you.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, and we were both just kind of letting go of a lot of shit at the same time. Mm-hmm. But you see some people that it was almost too abrupt for them. Like it was like they would have a moment and they would get back into their character, into their role again. Mm-hmm. And it was the same guy. I remember asking him questions and we were at breakfast just so I could hear him talk about himself more.
Right.
To see how long he would do it. To see how long this guy would sit there and tell stories about himself. Like it was insane, but I got to watch, and normally in life I probably wouldn't do that, but since we were so disconnected, it was almost like a social experiment.
Right.
It's such an incredible place. So, I mean, you have the capacity to get the fuck out of your life for a little while and just go away.
Nice.
It's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got to get down to speed.
You also start, because like you get stuck in these things where it's like, oh, I've got a lease. So like I can't leave for like another 9 months. And I've got like a car payment. I've got a mortgage. And I've got 2 weeks vacation. I've already used like 10 days of it. And I've got like, it's so easy to get wrapped in like all of this construct, and then you just got to be like, stop it. You have like really like 50 years to enjoy your life if you're lucky.
Yeah.
You know, the first few don't count, the last few don't count. You've got like a chunk of time where people want to fuck you too. And
I think about that a lot.
And like all of this stuff that seems heavy is actually not the stuff that should be heavy.
Yeah, man. Somebody told you it's supposed to be. It's weird. But you got to break the pattern. That's one of the things we do in lifestyle design too. Is like let's find out all the patterns that you're living in and creating for yourself, and then just fucking break them if you don't like them, and put them back. If they have value, then consciously put them back in there.
Right.
But you got to get the fuck outside of yourself. And that's why I'm an advocate for psychedelics in a lot of ways. But I would probably start with a 3-day meditation retreat somewhere.
There is also like in my experience, all of the things that have been like really negative that have happened in my life have almost all of them become the most positive things.
Yeah.
Because you don't make these decisions, just like life happens to you and then you're like, fuck, I got to do this now, and then that kind of blossoms into some awesome thing.
Yeah.
So just a good journey.
It is. I mean, you have to. You got to figure it out. I think when you guys start to embrace your capacity to figure shit out when you have to and be resourceful, lots of things can change. That's what it comes down to, really.
So, is this podcast like a self-help type of live your best life type thing?
Yeah, I mean that's the intention behind it. So starting this out, I didn't know what the fuck it was. It just was a thing.
Right.
And that's why I love what it is now, because it is what it is without trying to be this, trying to be anything. It's a self-help podcast, technically. It's in the self-help category. Right. You know, but at the end of the day, it's like it's 2/3 entertainment, and we attach some fun shit that may be able to make a shift in your life. But I'm not, you know, there's guys like Lewis Howes that do their thing, you know, we talked about, and that has a place. And there's guys like Aubrey who do their thing, you know, that we're both close with and has been a big part of all of this. And then there's something where the biggest thing when people ask me what I do, it's like I just tell people to take their lives a little bit less seriously, because then they have the space to change things.
Like the Indigo Girls.
Like the what?
You know that song, the Indigo Girls? Oh, anyway.
Lost.
I went to the doctor. I went to the mountain. I looked to the children.
When you take shit less seriously and you get a little bit of space, and it comes down to taking ownership of yourself, taking ownership of your life. Like, what the fuck do you want in it? What do you not want to do? So yeah, it's a self-help podcast.
I have a great outro to this, by the way. Can you edit this in at the end where you actually play the Indigo Girls song?
I think we can do that. I think I can have the guys. I can have the editors make that happen.
That is good.
Shout out editors.
Closer to Fine, it's called. Closer to Fine.
I cannot wait to have a producer just play this live.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, it is. I'm
gonna have them come to my bar mitzvah.
So, how do you feel about the podcast moving to LA?
Well, I think first of all, you've probably like tapped your Austin guest pretty good.
Yeah,
like coming to LA is just I think it's a good move.
Yeah,
I think there's more people here. I think it's a really great place to live. You have an ocean.
Yeah,
ocean, cool. Dude.
Yeah,
I mean, that right there. And I think it's a good move. I also think it's probably cool to be a little bit nomadic with this podcast. You know, go to where your guests are and hang out there for a bit and kind of sample. I mean, I'm kind of getting a bit of a nomadic itch.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that now because we have such good transportation and technology that you can work from almost anywhere, for most jobs. You can't be a baker from anywhere. But for what you do, you can be anywhere. For what I do, I can be almost anywhere. And that's like, man, that's a real luxury.
Yeah.
It's a real luxury.
It is nice. It is nice. I mean, that's bouncing out here. Last week, I was like, I'll come watch the dog.
Yeah, you just came on a whim.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a second room to your house for the longest time. I don't know how.
Sleeping in my bed.
Well, it was a good time.
Anyway, thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, dude, and that's what I was going to get to next is like you don't really have a podcast or any direction to point people to, but if you could send everybody one place, where would that place be?
You couldn't have like primed me with this like prior to
that's not
the podcast.
No, we don't prep on the Pleasure Monkey podcast.
So if I could send anyone to one place, where would it be?
You know what the audience looks like now because you asked me good questions. Where should those people go?